They scratch and scrape and scamper down the halls of icy granite, fingers that end in jagged nails probing, eager, desperate for the wide and stately passages of marble they are so convinced are just around the corner. This corner. No, the next one? Surely soon. It must be soon. Yes, I have simply misplaced it for a moment. They scrabble over smoothly shifting steps that grow and shrink to hidden whims and argue about the angle with nobody. If they are feeling very confident, they may lean down and stretch a curious tongue beyond their chipped teeth and rotten gums, desperate to add another sense to their observances. More evidence to support their declaration of what the world must be. Their beards are long and matted with their prevaricating spittle, and their hair is kept loose, hanging over their faces to hide the looks of confusion and fear. There is a way out of here. There must be a way out of here. There is a pattern to the movements, an unseen system to the shifting of the doors and the opening of the tunnels. It simply takes observation and thought and patience and, above all else, intelligence. And that is what these men have in abundance. Intellects sharpened to the keen edge as a chef might sharpen their knife. They have spent their lives in holy objectivity, cleaving one Gordian knot after another in the arena of publication and debate. They must simply study and learn if they are to escape the labyrinth. They will be the first to escape. The one who sits in the central chamber cannot remember his name, but he knows that people called him Doctor. He made sure of that. To ignore it would have been the greatest disrespect, and he will not be disrespected. Dr. something has been waiting here for a long time, observing, timing the rotations of the passageways above him. He knows for a fact that this is the central chamber because he is the one sat here. For his observations to make any sense, they must be made from the center of this place, and this is where he is observing from, so it stands to reason that it is the center. The only firm and solid place in a cacophony of undulating architecture. The only point from which it may be solved. How long has he been watching now? Scratching his notes and formulae into his skin with a fragment of splintered obsidian. It does not matter. Time means nothing in the pursuit of knowledge, and he has no concerns except the solution. And he has cracked it. His mouth breaks into a smile, lip splitting in the grin, spilling a drop or two of scarlet onto skin so pale as to now be near translucent. He has seen the others pointlessly wandering the halls, of course, simpering pretenders claiming to see patterns when they are only being led by the siren call of their pathetic little biases, their ridiculous pet theories. Not like him. They'll remember him forever, the first to escape the monument. His name will be hallowed with the greats. Doctor... It doesn't matter. There will be time enough for names and gloating and awards once his achievement is secured. And now is the time to put it to the test, to prove once and for all that his peers are ignorant amateurs beside him, who can finally boast that he has found the key to the system in which they all struggle. He begins to walk, calmly and with a measured certainty, to the east. Figuring out which way was east was the first step, and the most simplistic one, for the central chamber in which he had positioned himself received a ray of light from above at regular intervals that could only be sunlight. And thus it was a simple matter to track the course of the light to determine which direction was east and which was west. Once he had noticed that, It was all about keeping a close eye on the timing of the shifts, cross-referenced with the compass point. In a westward direction, the corridors would invert every 47 seconds and shift incline every 20, as well as growing a door to a staircase every 2 minutes. The staircase would always be descending except for every 5th door, which would go up and twist to the north. And just like that, he had plucked order from what would, to any of the other charlatans that wanted this prison of geometry, appear to be true chaos. It was east that he travelled now, however, because every 80 seconds, the second corridor to the east made a sharp upwards inversion, leading to a full minute where every 7 seconds a door would sprout from the ground. Only the first of these doors would lead you to the true path that will... A dead end. Wait, no, this wasn't right. The first of the doors would lead him... Maybe that wasn't the first of the doors, but it was. It was the first door, but that would mean... No, he was right. He was certain he had factored in all the timings. This didn't make sense. It wasn't fair. He had the answer. The ground opens up below the poor, panicking doctor. He barely has time to register before he is tumbling, falling, smashing bone and cracking skull on the stairs on columns he impacts on his descent, one after another. But it is not the fall that terrifies him, not the pain of the impacts, but the fact that none of them should be there. That it doesn't make sense, and it must make sense. There must be a system, there must be, because if there isn't... He lands with a heavy smack onto rough limestone and lies still, his body twisted and broken. He knows it will knit itself back together, slowly, painfully as it always has before. But the thought of starting over, of composing yet another theory, fills him with a deep dread. The broken doctor is not alone in the room where he now lies. Another figure, stooped and mumbling, staining bloody notes into a torn and discoloured robe, glances over at him. A sneer passes across the cracked face of the doctor. He knows this man a professor. At least he puffs himself up to be. His curled lip is reflected in the face of this pretender who scampers over to where he fell, chunks of stone clutched tight in pink and bloody hands. I told you, the professor gloats, that your precious compass point rubric is nonsense. It's all about the stone, the rocks that make up this place. You see, here we have the limestone, here the granite. Taste it. No? Your loss. I have also identified basalt and slate in various quantities shot through the staircases in veins. Now, if we ascribe a hierarchy of spiritual purity to these stones with the hypothetical but inevitable marble at the top, then it will be a simple matter of following the current of these stones through the... The doctor that lies on the floor has recovered just enough to laugh. You're still working on mineral theory? How painfully outdated. A flash of genuine fear crosses the face of the professor at this dismissal, before he picks up his chunk of granite and begins to smash the doctor's head in yet again.